Hello children. In our last video, we have started chapter 1 History. The name of the lesson is Sources. In this lesson, we have discussed first point sources which are required to the study of history. And next important topic that we are discussing is types of sources of history. Today, let us continue the oral literature. Let us start discussing about oral literature. Oral literature means whatever folk songs, whatever the folk stories, folk legends and the important poems, historical stories, whatever we are saying from one person to another, from mouth to mouth, word to word. So, this type of folk literature is very essential to know the human life and human beings, how they are passing their important experiences in the form of the stories, in the form of songs, in the form of ballets. Ballets means the poems or the songs orally, how they are giving informations from one person to another. So this type of oral literature is very essential to know the informations about the past. And this oral literature is passing from one generation to another, from the old people to the new one, from the elders to the youngers. So folk people, what they will do is they will create their own poems. Ballets means the poems, songs, and they will be telling these type of poems in their local languages about their local heroes. So this type of poems are also called as ballets. So they have created the important ballets on Kumararama, the Nayakas of Chitradurga, Kempegowda, Tippu Sultan, Sangolli Rayanna, Kittur Rani Channamma period, Sindora Lakshmana, Medias Tyler, and other important personalities. They have narrated with their own ballets, poems, legends, and they are giving informations about the mythological stories, whatever they belong to that particular period of time. So what is the important usage is we can know their names, we can know their important places, how these important stories they belong with the help of these stories. Example regarding our Shravana Belagola and the informations about Bengaluru, then Koppala, then about Pattadakal, Gokarna, Mysore, all these important informations we can know with the help of this oral literature. And not only about places, even every village and every town, whatever they have their own stories, that also we can know through oral literature. Like this, oral literature plays a very important role in our history. So the next important source is archaeological sources. Under the archaeological sources, we have divided into 4 types. One is inscription. Second one is coins. Third one is monuments. Fourth one is other ruins. So these are the 4 important types of archaeological sources. One is inscription, 2 coins, 3 monuments, 4 other ruins. So let us discuss what is the meaning of archaeological sources. So archaeological sources are the important sources which tells us how the important things which are found. Archaeological sources are the important sources are not only we found on the surface of the earth, even these sources are hidden deep in the depth of the earth. So some of the important things which are hidden in the earth. So once the people dug out by using the scientific methods, axe and other important materials means, so they can remove the important materials and they can know the important informations about the old things. So those are all known as archaeological sources. So that type of investigation, what they are doing, it is called as excavations. So with the help of these excavations, we found even in Hampi and in Talakadu and some of the other important places and our old civilizations, like for example Harappan civilization, which came to light with the help of these excavations, and other ruins of buildings and inscriptions, coins, terracotta and other important terracotta pieces, number of bangles, seals and tools, beads, bone pieces, metal and others, whatever they are founded. So those are all analyzed on the base of these archaeological sources. So for the sake of their analysis, we are using our own scientific methods. And as you know that today modern methods of digging the earth equipments have come. So they will use all these materials, human power and machinery power, and they will excavate number of informations, number of things. So that is called as archaeological sources. So we can understand their lifestyle with the help of these materials once you see during their period of time and which particular year they belong. So all the historians will derive the informations once they see the skull, all the important buildings, they will derive their own information. So like this, archaeological sources are very essential to know about our history. Let us continue the first type of archaeological sources, that is inscriptions. So what is the meaning of inscription? So here is a picture of inscription. So that tells us how these important writings which are engraved on these important the slabs or the important stones, like that. So they are all written on stone or on rock or on metal or on ivory, terracotta and other important materials which are used in the last longer period. So this is also one of the picture which tells us the example for our inscription. And this inscription is also having its own direct relationship with all these important old events. For example, once we see the Ashoka's inscription, that will give you the earliest information. So it is also called as earliest inscription, Ashoka's inscription. Ashoka's inscription is also called as earliest inscription, which is found in India. So that tells us about the Ashoka's administration on the important social, political, economic condition, art and architecture during that period of time. Everything we can know with the help of the inscription. So these are all engraved, these informations on these inscriptions. So this Ashoka inscription, and most of the inscriptions are written in Brahmi script, and the language whatever they have used, it is called as Prakrit language. And thousands of inscriptions we found in Kannada language, Telugu language, Tamil, Sanskrit, Prakrit languages. So these are the examples we can know. Other than that, during the important Gupta period, Samudragupta is also one of the famous ruler, and during his period of time they have issued Allahabad pillar inscription. So that also tells the informations about Samudragupta's administration. Immadi Pulakeshi was also one of the important ruler, and the Aihole inscription tells us about his administration. Karavela's Hattiguppa inscription is also another example where the historians have derived, and it is famous in our Indian history. So like this, we can know the military achievements of these period important rulers, and it will give you the stories regarding their historical period with the help of these inscriptions. And the Uttaramerur inscriptions also narrates the ruler administration. And even the Chola kings, how they have important South Indian rulers they have ruled, and that we can know once we see the Uttaramerud inscriptions narrate the rural administration of the Chola kings. And other than that, it will also gives a clear picture about the social, economic, cultural and political, educational, religious aspects are all being reflected in these inscriptions. So it is like a mirror type. It will tells us all these informations. Therefore, inscriptions plays a very important role to know about our history. Like this, today we have discussed about oral literature. Next one is archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are divided into 4 types. One is inscriptions, coins, monuments and other ruins. Today we have discussed about inscription and some of the important examples of inscriptions and the important informations how we can know the informations about inscriptions. Now I will review these points and let us remember the important informations whatever we have studied just now. Today under history chapter 1 we have discussed about oral literature. So what is the meaning of oral literature means the important folk songs, folk stories which are folk legends, and the ballets means the poems or the songs which are passed from one person to another, from mouth to mouth, word to word, that is called as oral literature. Some of the examples whatever we have discussed about oral literature is how these important people are narrating certain poems or songs, that is also called as ballets. Example about the informations regarding Kempegowda and the ruler Tippu Sultan, Sangolli Rayana, Kittur Rani Channamma, how they have established a great conquering activities to rule over our people. So with the help of the stories, we can know their important historical informations. So like this, oral literature gives us all the informations about these personalities. The next one we have discussed about the legends whatever we found in these places. Like example Shravanabellagola, Bengaluru, Pattadakal, Mysuru and various villages and towns. Whatever the places, people have created the stories, songs about that particular places we can know through oral literature. Okay students, the next topic we have discussed today is archaeological sources. So there are 4 types of archaeological sources. 1. Inscriptions, 2. Coins, 3. Monuments, 4. Other ruins. So these are the 4 types you should remember under archaeological sources. Let us discuss what is the meaning of archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are the important sources which are available on the surface of the earth. Sometimes they are hidden deep in the depth of the earth. So through excavations they will remove and they will derive the informations. So that is all examples for archaeological sources. So that excavations are undertaken and the things are removed. Those things they will use to derive the informations about that particular period of time. So these are all known as archaeological sources. Examples, the important temples, buildings, then tools and the other important equipments, beads, then all these examples come under archaeological sources. Examples for archaeological sources: during the excavations, they are collecting the ruins of buildings, inscriptions, coins, bangles, beads, etc. All these are come under examples for archaeological sources. So let us discuss the meaning of inscriptions. So what is inscription? Inscriptions means the engraved writings which are written on stones, rock, metal, ivory, terracotta and other important materials. So all these will give you the informations about that particular period of time. So it is also one of the source come under archaeological source. Let us discuss the examples for inscription. 1. Brahmi script they have written, for example in the Ashoka period, and they are written in Prakrit language. And not only Prakrit language, Kannada language, Telugu language, Sanskrit language, Tamil and other spoken languages also these inscriptions are written. Example, Samudragupta's Allahabad pillar inscription. And the other important one, Immadi Pulakeshi's Aihole inscriptions. So these are the two important examples. Remember under the inscriptions. Like this, inscriptions reflect the political life of the people, social condition, cultural values, economic informations, educational informations and other religious aspects. So for all these purposes, we are depending on inscriptions. So therefore, inscription is also one type of archaeological sources. So in next of our video, we will continue the next 3 types of archaeological sources. Thank you, children.